Hello everybody, my name is Marloe and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft Survival, where I'm just flying into my bedroom here to do one very specific thing. And no, it's not to go to bed. As you can see, the sun is still very much so up. Instead, it's actually to, well, break my bed. So why did I just break my bed, you may be wondering? Well, I did it so I could reset my spawn point and actually take you to the location of today's building project, which starts with us going to the Nether. And very quickly running along the nether roof. Aha! This is the spot. Now I need to jump into the end, only to head instantly back out of it. Damn it! It put me back to my bed. I wanted to go to spawn. Apparently breaking your bed doesn't reset your spawn if you place it down in the exact same spot. Oh well, I'm here. Might as well go to sleep and I'll just fly there in the morning. Okay. Off we go. So welcome to my spawn. This is the very first place that I arrived at here in my world, and what's the very first thing you notice about it? If you said it's super boring, you are correct. There is absolutely nothing going on here, which kind of feels wrong. Spawn is meant to be this special, almost sacred part of your world, and I've done nothing with mine. Other than build a guardian farm off in the distance over there, which by the end of today's episode will probably just end up being an eyesore. So today I have plans to construct right here what is probably my biggest Minecraft build ever. And I'm just talking about single buildings, not multiple buildings made up to create one big building project. So no custom villages, for example, that's not the same thing. The build we're going to be making over here is just flat out huge, massive, gargantuan. It's big, okay? It's pretty large, at least for my standards anyway. Now it doesn't need to be that large, definitely not. It's actually going to be purely aesthetic for the most part, but you know what I say? Go big or go home. Technically I am home here because this is kind of like my birthplace, so I guess I'll do both. I'll go big and I'll go home. Now before I even think about building this thing, I need to collect my resources, which is everything you're looking at right now, and on first glance it may not actually look that bad. A lot of these numbers are in quite low values, and even when we get near the top it's still not that bad. Like, this is only nearly 7 stacks, but when you realize how many blocks there actually are in total, it's a lot. So if you look down here, you can see we have 8,120 items. That is nearly 127 stacks of blocks. So yeah, I've definitely got my work cut out for me. First things first, I'm going to rifle through my storage room here and just see how many blocks I already have. Turns out I actually had quite a lot of the items I needed. Now I still have a lot of resource collecting to do, most of it being deep slate unfortunately. But I thought I was going to have to do a lot more, so honestly I'm pretty pleased. One of the easier tasks I had to do was gather obsidian, so I headed down to the caves and mined about half a stack of that, so no trouble there. And whilst I was down underground, I thought I'd get some andesite, hence why I'm mining diorite. Makes complete sense, right? Well, in case you didn't know, you can combine diorite with cobblestone and get andesite, so just works out a little bit cheaper that way, because I've got infinite cobblestone basically. Then I took a quick trip over to my multicolored mesa village and I mined out about 4 stacks of terracotta nearby, and of course covered it over nicely so you couldn't even see it was there. Turns out oxidizing copper was actually the most time consuming part. I probably should have seen that coming because this takes ages. I laid it all out and then went AFK for about 2 hours, got impatient towards the end. Not all of it had fully oxidized, but most of it had, so I just went around and collected it all back up. I then took a quick trip to the Nether and located one of my nearby bastion remnants for some free blackstone. I didn't tell the piglins, but I think they might have set a trap because I actually fell in the lava and nearly died halfway through. Didn't learn my lesson though, and just took down a little bit more because I needed quite a bit of blackstone. Last but not least, I had to mine all of my deep slate, which I was expecting to take a really long time, but this time I actually set up a beacon nearby with haste 2 and I was able to get over a shulker box worth of deep slate in about 25 minutes, which is honestly really good. So as you can see, I have some lovely bright colors showing me that I've got all of my supplies. Other than these stripped spruce logs, that's just because I haven't stripped the logs yet, but everything else is good to go. So let's head back to spawn and we can start building. Okay, we have arrived, and honestly, I don't see any point in delaying this. Let's just get started with this absolutely monstrous build. I hope you guys enjoy. Oh, buddy. Isn't this thing just awesome? I am seriously happy with the finished result here. Well, the exterior, that is. The inside, it's a mob trap at the moment. But we'll get back to that in a bit. For right now, I want to talk about this absolutely monstrous build. I mean, what can really be said about this thing? It's big, it's beautiful, and it's just amazing. I think I spent nearly a week, obviously not straight working, but over the course of 7 days, slowly chipping away at this thing, trying to get it to be something I was actually really happy with. It took a lot of fine tuning, let's just say that. As you can see, the build's kind of made up of separate levels, almost in how I built it. So my first thing that I did was actually build it all out of stone blocks to kind of get the general shape of the build. And then after that, I went by section, kind of switching out the stone blocks for something that was a little bit more interesting. So we got some diorite, we got dark prismarine, we got some stone blocks, a lot of deep slate as we've discussed, even a little bit of terracotta at the top, as well as some pops of color with the gold blocks and even some copper blocks in there too. And of course, not forgetting the black stone and a little bit of prismarine. But all in all, I think those colors go really well together. I'm never too sure with the block palettes that I pick for my builds. I know I say it quite a lot in my videos, but I do just like to remind you every now and again, I'm not good with colors. I'm kind of colorblind, so I'm sort of guessing what actually goes well together when I pick the blocks for my builds. I think most of it comes down to experience. I've played this game a lot and I know what blocks are well suited to each other from my own builds and also seeing other people do it. Like, I can tell you what all of these blocks are, but I could not tell you what the colors of some of them are, at least not confidently. But hey, it's worked well for me so far, and I hope you guys can let me know it's worked well again. But anyway, that's the monument slash obelisk. I'm not sure what I'm calling this yet. Big old tower. I think now I can actually sort out what we're doing on the inside. Right after I call pest control, which is me. I'm unfortunately pest control. Well, I guess the best way to do this is one level at a time. Okay, so let's talk about what we're doing with the interior here. Well, I had a few ideas. Option 1 was to build some sort of farm inside of here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure if you build something in the spawn chunks, the farm stays loaded because, well, the spawn chunks stay loaded. Could be wrong, but that was my first idea. I then thought about possibly just building like a bunch of different levels and floors in this tower, all of them having something on. Quickly crossed that one off the list because it seemed kind of unnecessary and really time consuming. Plus, I have no idea what would go on all of the levels. And eventually, I decided to do that sort of thing, but keep it simple. As in, we're only going to be using this bottom level here and kind of cutting the ceiling off at about 10 blocks high. And then we're just going to have a big old water column going all the way up to the top of the tower there. So if I ever want to get this view, I can get it whenever I want. All I got to do is go in a quick bubble column. I was right. The ocean monument is a massive eyesore. Gonna have to do something with that at some point. This isn't the prettiest thing in the world. Most of it's just a prismarine tower going straight up to the top there. But this is kind of how I'm gonna get up and down. So this square round is gonna be full of water bubble columns to shoot all the way up. And to get down, we're gonna go straight down this chute. Obviously, there will be water at the bottom to catch me. Currently, that sea lantern's only gonna break my ankles and probably more. Now, as you can see, this is very dry at the moment and a little bit painful to go down. We need to make it full of water. And the best way to do that is to just go ahead and grab a bunch of water sources here and we're going to place them at the top so that we can completely fill this whole tube with water. Then we need to get ourselves a little bit of kelp, place some dirt down where we want our bubble columns, then with an individual piece of kelp on the said dirt block. And all you have to do to make these falling water blocks into solid water sources is bone meal the kelp all the way up to the top. And subsequently, for some reason, putting kelp in a water block makes it a solid water source. I don't know why, but I'm not complaining because it makes my job a whole lot easier. Finally, I'm done. Now all of these are solid wood sources. I can go ahead, break the kelp and the dirt, and as you can see, it becomes a bubble column. Did you see the bubble? It's bubbly, trust me. Look at this. Super bubbly. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of kelp. So here we have the semi-finished room. I say semi-finished, it's pretty much done. I just need some help from you guys. So as you can see, at the moment, it's nothing more than a room with our water column in the center. I would like you guys to suggest some ideas of what we could put in these 3 sections of the room. Something maybe a little bit special to the world. Doesn't have to be useful at all, just something to display. For now, I'm going to make some mini sculptures with my mob heads here and some grindstones. They could be permanent if you guys like them. They do look kind of funny, but for right now, they're just placeholders. I've also got these droppers up here that I'm probably going to fill with rockets most likely, possibly some food too, just in case I die and I spawn back here for some reason and need some supplies to get back home. Probably won't ever happen, but I would like to have it handy just in case. I also have this big nether portal here to link up to the nether at some point in time, but I'll probably just do that at a later point in time. Which means, other than the changes we make probably next episode after I get some suggestions from you guys, we're all done here. The monument is complete. Whilst you're down there in the comments, I do have a quick question to ask you guys. So my spawn is actually over here somewhere, kind of partially in the jungle. It's hard to determine where the exact spawn point is, but every time I tested it in my copy of this world, it was roughly in this area. I didn't want to build in that area though, because I wanted our monument here to kind of be centered in the stony beach. So what I'm considering doing is actually using the set world spawn command, this one right here, which will basically turn whatever block I'm stood on, most likely this one right here, into the world spawn. So anytime I respawn without a bed set, it'll be here. Basically, I just want to ask, are you guys cool with that or not? Let me know in the comments. All we have to do now is make this outside area look a little bit more interesting, because although this monument looks really cool, it sticks out like a sore thumb. Quite literally, it kind of looks like a thumb. A very long one at that. But I would like to do a little bit of terraforming and landscaping around here, just to kind of blend in with the terrain a little bit better. So it's not just the building and the building alone. I think what I want to do is turn this into a really overgrown, rundown area. I got a vision in my mind and I think I'm going to just go for it and see what it looks like. Already this is looking so much better than it did before. I just don't think having the stone on the ground really suited with the color, texture and style of the monument. Having something a bit greener definitely works. And when I say a bit, I mean a lot. Pretty much every stone block has been transferred out to moss. Now, of course, this is not the finished look. There's plenty more yet to do. It's not very interesting at the moment, so I'm going to start placing some more blocks and see if I can get something that looks a little bit better than what we have right now, which is basically just a big old field. I have been a busy bee, very hard at work, basically creating our own custom biome here, which is actually kind of awesome. I love this thing. Ideally, it would have been nice if this whole area was technically a jungle biome, then I would have just brought the jungle outwards all the way to the water. I think that would look great with our monument here. But we're actually on a stony shore here, and I mean, just take a look at the leaf color from the ones that are slightly creeping in. It would have looked very, very dull. So instead we've gone with an overgrowing of nature basically. I've sort of built this in a way that it looks like the moss has just spread itself all the way over the stony shore, hence why we have all of these rock protrusions kind of still coming out the ground a little bit. And of course I didn't want to use jungle leaves because of the color situation, but azalea leaves actually stay this color no matter what biome you're in, so I thought adding some of those trees as well as the bushes in would be a nice little touch. Plus, just growing azalea trees meant I didn't have to build any custom trees, and I'm not really in a custom tree kind of mood today, so I'm very happy with just growing all of these. Even though sometimes they look a little bit weird, it's fine, it just adds to the charm a bit. And last but not least, I also added some of these things kind of centered around the monument here. We've got 8 of them in total, 1 coming from each of the 4 ways and then 4 again diagonally. They're perfectly centered. I think it's like 8 blocks away from the actual monument, and it's sort of meant to resemble some sort of shrine maybe. I'm not sure on the lore of everything, maybe you guys can have some fun with that in the comments, but I think it's a nice little touch. All in all though, I think adding in our custom biome down below at the bottom of the monument only helps this massive build look even more impressive. I really am happy with what we've done today, and I hope you guys are too. So thank you ever so much for watching this episode. I really hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.